The self-styled Islamic State has long been known for broadcasting highly produced videos in an effort to spread its propaganda. But a new study by a security think tank says an increasing number of videos now aim to portray it as a genuine, functioning nation rather than glorifying acts of extreme violence. The group Quilliam says IS media teams produced 900 separate reports, rulings, videos and radio programmes in just 1 month. Our correspondent Dominic Casciani has been taking a look, but I think the film contains IS propaganda and some images that you may find distressing.
It may not have a TV channel, but it's hard to avoid the self-styled Islamic State's extreme violence, gory attempts to terrorise opponents at home and abroad. The fighting group now appears militarily contained by airstrikes, but there's been no let-up in the propaganda aimed at attracting would-be Western recruits. Men like Rayad Khan from Cardiff, killed in a British drone strike, but not before he'd played a key role in encouraging others to join him. But what do we know for sure about the ISIS propaganda machine? What exactly is it trying to sell? And how is it doing it? The fighting group has set up 6 central and 38 regional media teams across the Middle East, Africa and Afghanistan. Each team is branded as representing a province, whether or not IS genuinely controls it. Over 1 month this summer, the think tank Quilliam tracked every publication and media release by those teams. Online articles, tweets, videos and radio broadcasts. The grand total? Almost 900 individual online messages, and very little of it was the violence that has dominated the news. More than half of the material claimed to show a growing, functioning state, one where normal civilian life was possible. And while the next largest batch was military propaganda, only 19 of all the messages we've come to expect. So what kind of images of normal life is ISIS projecting? Well, for a start, reports that claim it can run public services, like this one showing off what it calls the Islamic State Health Service. It's meant to be a heartwarming video of doctors saving lives, particularly babies.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Abu Yusuf. I, alhamdulillah, made hijrah from Australia.
And supposedly ordinary life plays a big part too. This is a video showing children in Iraq being treated to a day out by Islamic State fighters. ISIS needs to present not just a vision of success on the battlefield, but show it's winning in all areas of life. Almost all ISIS material is professionally filmed and expertly edited. It's a far cry from videos of Osama bin Laden sitting in a cave. So how is the group managing to pump out so much material? Well, it all comes down to how social media works. ISIS has largely abandoned trying to maintain official accounts because they're repeatedly blocked. Instead, it now uses specific hashtags and search terms for every piece of propaganda. Now, followers find ISIS material by looking for those tags, and when they find it, they distribute it to their own followers around the world. So can this material be stopped? The social media companies say they're trying, but their critics say some are not trying hard enough.
Well, that report from Dominic Casciani. Let's talk now to Charlie Winter, who put that report together for the Quilliam Foundation, and also Alex Krasodomski, who looks into the way that IS use social media. And I know you know a lot about the use of social media generally. Charlie, first of all, from Quilliam, I mean, we have said from the beginning that this group has clearly got sound knowledge of technology. It's very good with social media. Is this a departure? I mean, were you even pretty shocked by the way it's morphed and it's portraying IS as a nation state?
Well, I've been looking really closely at Islamic State propaganda for just over a year now. And I mean, even within that year, since it declared its caliphate last year on 29th of June, it's changed a lot. Everything's become a lot more uniform, a lot more professional, and even the way they disseminate things, that's become a lot more tightly defined. So I was expecting this kind of constant evolution. But what surprised me was the sheer volume. I mean, I look at this a lot, so I know that there's constant reports coming out, constant videos, constant radio bulletins, but I was surprised that I found in total 1,146 batches of propaganda for the entire month. And they're not just individual photos here or there. They're things which there's been a lot of thought that's gone into them. They've been choreographed. People have been sent as photographers along with, I mean, children going to the fairground, that kind of thing. But it's a constant machine which is working, and it's not just for trying to attract foreign fighters. It's also to keep people happy or keep people buoying up their support, if you like, within the
region.
Yeah.
So it's not just because, Alex, we look at this and we think this must be the sort of thing they're sending out, because regrettably we cover a lot of stories about people going to leave their country to join IS, and I suppose it is also used or can be used for that purpose.
Absolutely, but I think what the report says quite clearly is that we're seeing over the last 6 months less of a focus on scaring us and this international focus, and more of a focus on the regional struggles within the territories that IS occupy.
And so when you watch this, does that speak more to you as doing that then? That's the purpose of it?
I think so, and that's forever. As Charlie says, this propaganda evolves and changes over time quite frequently, and at the moment I think there's a regional, localized focus, but that's not to say that in the future we won't get more of the same shocking propaganda and shocking brutality that we saw in the past being sort of broadcast to us again. And
who is helping them with this then? I mean, how is this done from a practical perspective, if you like? I mean, you both might have a view on this. Charlie?
Well, I think, first of all, that they're not amateurs that are doing this. I think there was a perception for a while that it was just because loads of young people that were there that were going to join them, and they knew how to use Twitter and Facebook. It's not all about social media. The way that they actually put together films is incredibly sophisticated, some more so than others, and you can really see that in some of the provinces they have a better kind of team of producers than in other ones. But I think that the key thing to recognise here is that they have a long history of doing this. So when we talk about counter-efforts, so what a government's doing, how can we challenge this meaningfully? I think the government hasn't been doing propaganda like this for a very, very long time, so we can't expect there to be a kind of matched ability to be able to do it. And I think that certainly that's something that we're going to have to deal with for a little while now.
Because I think people watching Dominic's film would be particularly shocked when you saw the images of the hospitals and that sign that, you know, to us as British eyes, I'm not saying it's only aimed in Britain, but it looks like the NHS colours, the NHS signs. I mean, that will have jumped out at people, and that's from their perspective, from the IS perspective, that's very clever use of adopting that sort of logo.
Absolutely. I mean, what you could see from the report was that there's a huge variety here. And when we're talking about who, we also have to talk about what, and the kinds of themes that are coming through. For the last year or so, we've always associated Islamic State with sort of barbaric and brutal violence. But in fact, what the report finds is that a huge percentage of this propaganda is more focusing in Islamic State. And I think that, yeah, as Charlie says, that's a step change.
So much more we could discuss. I'm sorry we have to leave it there. Really appreciate your time. Alex and Charlie, thank you very much indeed. That report from Quilliam out today. Thank you very much.